Hello, this is Donna coming to you again with another video, and you're seeing these two images and you're wondering, what in the world is she going to talk about today? Well, I'm going to talk about the knot that we keep seeing in various places on YouTube, on the Etsy shops, etc. And I wanted to bring a piece of history about this knot. In years past, now these two ships are not in scale one to the other. However, I did cut these out just for illustration purposes. In times past, before we had power boats, it was a necessary tool for seamen of yore, it being the monkey knot. And you saw a picture of that just prior to this video portion. To set the stage of imagery, think of pirate days when sailing ships abounded on all the seas. Typically, a rope was tied around some sort of an weighted object. Maybe it was a rock. Maybe it was a piece of grape shot, which is a type of ammo. Any sort of object that had sufficient weight, the rope could be tied around. When these ships were on the open sea, now mind you, they had no way of communicating with each other as we would today. They primarily used flags when they wanted to communicate with each other, and that meant that they had to be in proximity enough to at least be seen with a binocular, the type that you may be used to seeing, the single eye, and they would pull it out and extend it to look on the open sea around them. So in doing this, you realize that they had to be somewhat close to each other in order for this whole process to start and to unfold. When two ships needed to exchange goods, like food, maybe ammunition, etc., they would come alongside each other. Now, they cannot come close to each other because these ships are only controlled by wind power and by their steering mechanism, so they could not come very close to each other without colliding. They would leave ample space in between the two ships for the process to take place. The seaman would, after a monkey fist knot had been prepared, the seaman would take it and hurl it around sort of over their heads like a lasso, and they would hurl it, let's say, from this ship to this ship for the goods to be exchanged, for that process to start. Usually the monkey fist rope is about 30 feet long, so that would kind of give you an idea about the distance between these two ships as they came alongside of each other. Adding a bit of color to this lore, oftentimes when you sling a knot like that and it's weighted and they just hurl it down, the ocean's going up and down and the ships are listing from one side to the other, aim may be good, but it wasn't always accurate in that it could land up over on this ship and knock a sailor in the head or somehow cause damage or harm to the sailors on the receiving ship. And for the purpose of this demonstration, this is the sending ship and this is the receiving ship. Once the fist had successfully been launched and had landed onto this ship, that established a connection between the two. Baskets and pails could then be added to the line that is now between these two ships, connecting them. A lot of wicker baskets, straw baskets, grass baskets were used. Let's assume for today's purpose that they were going to exchange some food. Perhaps this ship ran out of food or this ship ran out of food. It could be either one of them, or we're getting low on food. Let's call this one the low on food for today. They would be filled once the knot got over, and they communicated probably by screaming and yelling, "We need food, we need supplies." This ship would take a basket or a pail and add it to the line that is connecting the two ships, which the monkey fist is on the end and is now situated on this ship. In order for the transfer to start taking place, someone would take that line and go up the crow's nest. This is the crow's nest. They would go up the center mast usually, and that would create a steeper angle between the two ships. The bucket would be loaded and then would be released, and through wobbling motion, sometimes just with an automatic glide, if the steep were steep enough, it would glide right over to the deck of the ship, where this end of the 30-foot line is still being held. So there is a permanent connection here and a permanent connection here. The angulation is really important, but because it has to be altered in order for the baskets to have a downward slant. The monkey fist, where did it get its name? Well, you think about a monkey's fist, and you can see that the monkey's fist knot does somewhat appear to be in the fist of a primate. It was also used when sailing ships would approach a dock. Let's remove this ship for this example, and this ship would come up alongside a dock. However, again, they are without power to go forward, reverse, to maneuver the ship. And the wind, now the sails would be down when they did come up to the ship. They may have a small sail left, or maybe even a jib sheet, just enough to give them a slow amount of power going into the dock. In order to keep from crashing into the dock, they would again throw the monkey fist from the ship over to someone on the dock. Today we might call them a stevedore. But whatever the name was in those days, he would receive this knot, and then they would unfurl any other mast sheets that they had open, and this rope would then be used to gently pull this ship up alongside the dock. Through the years, other uses have been applied to the monkey fist. Monkey fist lines were later used to tether two fishing vessels together. I'm going to bring this one back into play, and this is probably in more modern times, but for the purpose of example, this ship and this ship, he could throw the monkey fist over here, and then if they were fishing on the open seas, what they would do is they would drop the net in between the two ships. This was sometimes called paired trawling. And the purpose of doing this would be that it would increase the surface area of the nets going through the water as the boats move forward. Again, they would be under sail, probably not this much and not this little. Somewhere in between, they would, so that they could match their speeds going to get forward in the same rate. But again, the net is in between the two boats or two ships, and it increases the fishing area, and therefore their catch would be usually larger. Now, before doing this, the captain of this vessel and the captain of this vessel would have come to some sort of an agreement about how the total catch and the payments would be shared. Other info about the monkey fist. Because of its use as a lifeline thrown from boat to boat or ship to ship, the monkey's fist knot has become a symbol of solidarity among the hobo communities. And yes, we still have hobos here in the United States, and I would tend to believe that something comparable exists probably in most countries around the world. Hobos typically will jump freight trains here and travel from city to city. They camp out in the woods oftentimes. They may become employed for a short period of time just to get enough money to meet their personal needs, and then they would move on to some other destination. But again, the monkey's fist is now known by them in the hobo community as a symbol of solidarity. So if I were wearing a knot and you were wearing a knot, and we were both hobos, we would instantly recognize the fact that we were both of that community. The monkey's fists are commonly used as a convenient and unobtrusive method for storing and transporting precious gemstones. This came from more in line with the historic era of these two ships. When the seamen came ashore, perhaps they had ravaged another ship, as this pirate ship may have done. Maybe they bought gemstones from some country, and in order to prevent themselves from getting robbed, they would put the gems in a small sack or pouch and put that at the center of the monkey's fist as they tied the knot together, and this would hide the gemstones, but it was a successful way in transporting the gemstones without them getting robbed and the stones taken, etc. You can also do a floating monkey's fist. And mind you, I'm getting all of this lore from some of the local fishermen from my area. A floating monkey's fist can be successfully used as whatever you wanted to have as a buoyant material. You could tie up, today it might be a piece of styrofoam in the center of the monkey's fist. In days of yore, as here, it might have been cork, which was a common product that ships would use on the ships to keep the ships repaired, and also as a commodity that they might be transporting from place A to place B. Maybe someone fell overboard, for example. They could have the floating monkey fist. Someone fell off the ship. The floating monkey fist would then be tossed overboard at approximately the place where a seaman fell overboard. These ships were not easy to maneuver, and it took a lot of space and a lot of time and a lot of energy, so the person could have moved along very quickly in the process of their turning around and getting back to him. But the cork would move pretty much the same rate as a floating body might. So this was a way that they could go back and retrieve their fellow sailor, if at all possible. If he was deceased, they would bring the body on board and, of course, go into the proper burial at sea. These ships did not have refrigeration, nor did they have the capacity to take aboard ice without it melting very, very rapidly. So here, fish caught would probably be stored and salted rather than iced, as you might know today. Salt-cured fish were very, very popular along the banks of North Carolina and all up and down, simply because, and this is in the days of non-power boats, because the fish had to be saved in some way, allowing these ships to get back to port and to unload and sell them. So now that you have a bit of history about the monkey's fist and how it can be used to tether two ships together to exchange goods, how it can be tethered together to allow two sailing vessels to string a net between them, that would be what we would call a gill net. These are fishing nets that fish would swim into, and their neck would get caught in the gill, and they could not back out of it. So therefore they were caught for that particular trawling session. And they have become useful in a floating monkey's fist for a variety of things. It may be that they hit a shoal or something and there was another ship behind, and they didn't want that ship to come along and hit the same shoal. They might throw the fist overboard to mark a shoal or a reef or something of that nature. And again, as I said to you, it is a symbol of solidarity here in the United States within the hobo community, and a silent way of communicating. In fact, most hobo communities do have their own unique language that they communicate one with the other. So this is Donna. I wanted to give you a bit of history based upon the monkey's fist knot and how it was used in days of yore, and even how it has moved forward for use in the modern times of today. I do hope you have found this little bit of history enjoyable and pleasure, and if you did, don't forget to click the like button down below. And if you enjoyed this video, I certainly would appreciate having you subscribe to my channel. Any comments, any positive or negative comments, please list them below, because this is the way you, my fellow community people, help me learn, help me improve. And again, I invite you to subscribe so that I can expand my exposure on YouTube. So this is Donna signing off. I hope you're having a fabulous day, and go about finding something truly wonderful in your day. Goodbye now. I'll be coming back soon.